Welcome to Honeybee. Don't forget to subscribe, and hit the bell. Real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. Sometimes, the strongest response to betrayal isn't a heated confrontation or carefully plotted revenge. It's quietly turning your back and never glancing behind you again. My name is Evan, and this is the story of how I uncovered my wife's affair. She disappeared from my life without a word, and 3 years later, she was blindsided by what I had to say. I first met Naomi right after college graduation. Within just a few months, our casual dates had turned into something serious. We were in our 20s, fresh out of school, filled with ambition and eager to build a future. I had a degree in communications and had just started working as a marketing coordinator at a mid-sized company in Denver. Naomi, who majored in finance, secured a well-paying analyst role at a big investment firm with clear room to grow. From the very beginning, she earned more than I did, but it never felt like a problem. We were both young, motivated, and working hard to lay the foundation for our lives. 2 years into our relationship, marriage felt like the natural next step. We spent nearly every night together, met each other's families, and made plans that stretched far into the future. We tied the knot in a small, intimate ceremony surrounded by loved ones. The early years of our marriage were all about starting from scratch and building something real. We rented a modest one-bedroom apartment in a decent neighborhood, splitting the $1,300 rent down the middle. Bills were divided proportionally based on our income. Naomi paid a bit more, but I always covered my share. We both saved every extra dollar we could, dreaming of a down payment on our first home. Her higher salary allowed us a slightly more comfortable lifestyle, but I never felt like a burden. We were equals, building a future side by side. In the first 5 years of our marriage, Naomi's career skyrocketed. She earned 2 promotions, climbing from analyst to senior analyst, while my marketing career plateaued. I enjoyed my work, but often felt boxed in, limited by corporate structures that stifled creativity. After our 5th anniversary, I made a life-altering decision. I left my marketing job to build a freelance digital marketing business. I had honed my skills in SEO, content strategy, and social media, and believed I could build something sustainable. Naomi said she supported me, fully aware that my income would be unpredictable at first, and she'd have to shoulder more of the household costs. She told me she believed in me, believed this leap could lead to something better in the long run. But reality wasn't as easy as I'd hoped. Freelancing came with rough patches. Some months were great, others painfully dry. Meanwhile, Naomi's career continued its upward climb. The income gap between us widened sharply. I carried guilt for not contributing as much, worrying my choice had put too much pressure on her. She always brushed it off with kind words, assuring me that it was only temporary, that we were still in this together. Now, looking back, I can see that behind those reassurances was a slow build-up of resentment. Resentment she never voiced. Maybe she felt weighed down by carrying the financial load. Maybe my unpredictable income changed how she saw me. Not as an equal, but as someone dependent on her success. Around year 7 of our marriage, the change became obvious. Naomi began working late, far beyond her usual hours. She'd get home at 8 or 9 p.m., long after the office closed. When I asked, she said it was all part of chasing a promotion, that she needed to prove her commitment. I believed her. Investment banking is demanding, and Naomi was always ambitious. But soon, late nights became the norm, not the exception. She even started going to the office on weekends. Even when she was home, she wasn't really there. She was glued to her phone, scrolling through messages at dinner, taking it with her everywhere, even the bathroom. Our emotional closeness faded. Deep conversations turned into brief exchanges about bills or schedules. It was like watching the lights slowly dim in a room we once built together. After 6 months of this, I finally confronted her. I told her I felt like I was living with a stranger. She reacted with immediate defensiveness, accusing me of not understanding the pressure she was under. She insisted everything she was doing, the late nights, the distance, was for our future, for financial security. I wanted to believe her, so I backed off. I stopped questioning where she was or why she seemed so far away. But nothing changed. Our marriage began to feel like a shared lease, not a shared life. Intimacy dwindled to mechanical gestures. Naomi had become cold and distracted, and I started wondering whether she regretted marrying someone who earned less. Then came the night everything fell apart. It was a Thursday, another late return home. She walked in around 10:30 p.m., said little, and headed straight to the shower, like always. That's when I saw it. Her phone glowing on the dresser. She usually kept it glued to her, but not that night. A flood of notifications lit up the lock screen. Messages from a single name. I didn't unlock it. I didn't have to. The previews told me everything. Compliments on how she looked. Something about how wet she was. Another message recalling how incredible their time together had been. My stomach dropped. I stood frozen, reading the fragments over and over, even though the truth was already clear. Naomi was cheating on me. The late nights, the defensiveness, the emotional distance. It all clicked into place. My hand shook as I took out my phone and snapped a picture of the notifications. Evidence. Proof that this nightmare wasn't in my head. When Naomi emerged from the bathroom, she climbed into bed like nothing had happened. She was asleep in minutes. I lay beside her, awake, knowing everything had just changed. I didn't confront her. Not then. Not ever. I knew confrontation would just lead to denial, excuses, maybe a fight, maybe therapy, maybe a divorce. But either way, I'd still be tied to someone who'd already thrown me away. So I made a different choice. I decided to disappear. Over the next few days, I moved through life like a ghost, planning my escape. I opened a personal bank account and transferred my share of our savings, leaving enough to cover the month's expenses. I arranged my work so I could do it from anywhere. I liquidated what tied me to Denver. Naomi barely noticed. She was too distracted by her affair. Exactly 1 week after that Thursday, I waited for her to leave for work in the morning. The moment she drove off, I packed everything that mattered into 2 suitcases. Clothes, my laptop, a few personal keepsakes. Before walking out, I printed the photo of her affair messages and left it on the kitchen counter. No note, no explanation, just the truth. I withdrew $15,000 from our joint account, half of what was ours. Then I cut every line of communication, blocked her number, blocked her on social media, threw away my SIM card, got a new phone with a new number, shut down my old accounts. By noon, I was on the road, driving east with no destination except far away. I ended up in rural Missouri, renting a small cabin near a tiny town. It was simple, quiet, and cheap. I set up my remote work, and for the first time in years, I felt the weight lift. Naomi's reaction to my disappearance didn't matter. Whether she panicked, got angry, or celebrated her newfound freedom, I'd removed myself from the equation entirely. The first few months were about rebuilding. I worked hard, grieved harder, not just a betrayal, but the illusion of the marriage I thought I had. Anger came. So did relief. And slowly, peace followed. By month 4 or 5, the heartbreak faded into something else. Finality. I stopped wondering if she regretted it. I stopped replaying what-ifs. She became a closed chapter. My business grew. I earned more than I ever had before. I built a quiet, peaceful life for myself, one where her name didn't echo anymore. 3 years passed. Then, on a random Tuesday afternoon, there was a knock at my door. Visitors were rare. When I opened it, I froze. Naomi stood on the porch. She looked older, different, shorter hair, casual clothes instead of the business attire I remembered. We just stared at each other. She finally spoke, saying she'd spent years trying to find me, hiring multiple private investigators before one finally managed to track me down through some digital breadcrumb I'd missed. She had driven all the way from Denver to see me. She said there were things she needed to say. And that was a moment I realized walking away had been the most powerful choice I ever made.